G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, it's week 2 of Division Preview Month at AGN, and tonight we're going down to the dirty South. We've got a sensational lineup of teams to talk about from the AFC and NFC South tonight, so let's float down the Mississippi and see how many Gators we can catch. Hey-oh! Joining me on our Southern adventure this evening is, of course, the best football analyst we could round up on this side of the planet, Nick, Isaac, and, of course, Brad. Brad, are you ready for a dirty trip down south?
I'm not sure how to take that. I'm ready to talk football. So I'm looking forward to talking football. Yes, I am. The South is not full of headlines and Super Bowl contenders, but it's football, it's professional, and I'm looking forward to it.
Isaac, are we ready to go gator hunting, get some large scale snakes, anacondas out in the middle of the bayou?
How y'all doing? Just getting in the spirit, you know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Jeez.
That is possibly the worst Southern accent I've ever heard in my life, and I never want you to do it again.
Oh, come on, Ian.
It would be a shame.
Oh, man.
Nick, how are we doing tonight? Are you ready for this adventure into the Southern teams in the NFL?
Into the South, yes. And actually, a bit of a surprise, boys. I'll tell you what, got a grand reveal here. It's a bit like Taylor Swift did during the week. Here we go. Have a look at what we've got
Look
in
at
here.
Nick's new album is dropping, apparently.
Yes, have a look. Have a look. There it is. Oh, wait, that's the wrong week. I stir it up. Some old guy said that. I don't know. I think that's East week. We'll leave that for another time. Anyway, AGN South week. Fire it up. And that will get a better reception than what Taylor Swift.
Well done. Well done, Nick. Congratulations. What an album drop.
That was awesome.
Oh,
Gosh.
of course,
I'll
Brad.
stir it up.
Of course, Brad. When things get a bit quiet, it's like a drama, and you've got to stir it up, don't you?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So we're here this is the drink, and Nick's just stirring it up. So I'm looking
Are you a
forward to it.
James Bond type there, Brad?
Oh, absolutely. I like my martini stirred. I'll take it shaken too.
I like my women like I like my martinis, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah.
He says he drinks a martini on camera. Look at it. That's not water, is it, Brad?
No, it's vodka. Let's go.
Straight on the rocks.
Got 18 ounces of vodka here. We got to get through tonight. Come on, fellas.
That sounds like half an evening in Taylor's house.
Oh, jeez.
Oh God.
Well, but he's got the body mass. He can handle that. So
He does.
He's all right.
He is a man. And speaking of Taylor, as an amazing segue, if you haven't heard yet on our AGN feed, I implore you to go and search for it. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, go and search for the AGN podcast feed. Or I think it's even up on the YouTube channel. Taylor and Maddie got onto the NFL Supercoach train this week. So Supercoach have launched NFL fantasy on there as in the Supercoach rules, just like NRL and AFL for Australian fans. And Taylor and Maddie straight onto that. Taylor was onto that the day it was released. They were planning a podcast that came out the very next day. The boys are at the forefront of fantasy Supercoach football and podcasts and talking about all that sort of stuff. So go and have a listen. Second episode came out this week, and it's been a cracker so far, hasn't it, Isaac?
Yeah, it has. Listened to both of them, and it actually got me into Supercoach, so I'm in there.
I'm not that far yet. I did admit that it almost had me wanting to go back to Supercoach. I absolutely hate Supercoach, just me personally, because I could not get around it. That was a long time ago too, though. So I almost feel, Isaac, like I want to give it another go.
It's worth another go with the way it's a really different format to the general fantasy format. So yeah, it's just another option there.
The old days. I'm talking for me. It was right back before I did anything with NFL fantasy at all. Some of the boys I used to bet with got me into doing Supercoach. I think I played it for 2 seasons and I tapped out because it was just annoying the piss out of me. But since then, obviously, I've gotten pretty deep into NFL fantasy, understand a lot more of fantasy aspect and things. I was listening to the boys talk about it and I was like, I think I could actually do this. I could probably murder this. But yeah, so maybe. Brad, have you heard about this yet?
No. So Supercoach, is that like is it like a salary cap based type thing?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
So every player has a money value rather than a points value. You build your team. Everybody can have the same players on their roster. They build their team however they want. You get a salary cap, and players have an attached value, and that value after a few weeks can rise and fall depending on how good they've gone. So the value basically starts out as it's based off last year's figures, so how they went last year essentially.
Yep.
And so obviously some guys can be very high at this end of the season. Rookies, for example, can be the lowest of the low. So you could load up on a few great rookies and they could rise. Then you can essentially sell them off your team and you get the profit from that, which you can then spend on other things, other people.
Okay, yeah, no. I did something, fun fact, I did something very similar, but with, I believe it or not, the MLS, so Major League Soccer in the States on ESPN a long time ago. This is probably my biggest achievement. And out of a couple million people, I finished like top 50.
Wow.
So
that's pretty good. I mean,
in the MLS.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
MLS fantasy is different levels of debauchery to start with.
I didn't even know the MLS had a fantasy.
Hey,
that's insane.
We got to be at least the 10th best league in the world. So come on. Of course,
I'm pretty sure,
fantasy.
Nick, it's American fantasy sports. I'm pretty sure if I searched, they've probably got fantasy cricket over there. So it's just
yeah, I'm sure they do too.
Barely even the top 10 in the continent. But anyway, let alone the world. But anyway.
So anyway,
I'm looking forward to it.
Point of that, get in there if you are into Supercoach. Listen to the boys. Get in on a pod. I believe they've got some leagues going around. They may or may not be full at this point, but if they're not, start a league with some friends. Get onto the boys and listen to their advice. Taylor has some amazing advice, amazingly, that he just comes out with. He just ingests fantasy football and just spits out knowledge. So
what we just went over was just a tip of the.
It's just a tip, and Taylor's got a pretty big tip. So get in on that, and of course, normal fantasy pod. Get around that. While I'm at it, I mentioned YouTube. Jump on the YouTube channel for us. You'll find us at Pastry Press NFL. Give it a like. Give it a follow. We are very, very, very close to 1,000 followers on or 1,000 subscribers, subs on YouTube. We would love to hit that mark really, really soon. Definitely before season. We're getting there. There's been some real positive things happening around AGN Network as a whole in the last couple of weeks, mainly thanks to Taylor. He's been like an absolute trooper. So get on there, subscribe on our YouTube channel if you're not already. Please get on there at Pastry Press NFL on YouTube. You'll find it. You can search for us at Gday Gridiron. You can search Aussie Gridiron Network. You'll find any of that will come up with the Pastry Press channel. And sub to that. It'd be great. Watch some of our videos and like that as well for us. And really help us get out there to the wider world to talk about NFL and fantasy football and just everything in general. So doing all the fun stuff. Help us love doing the thing that we love doing right now for you. And boys, that thing this week, right now, as I mentioned at the top, is week 2 of the division previews on AGN, the dirty South. Why is it the dirty South? Because it is easily the worst 2 divisions in football, and we have to talk about them every year. By worst, I mean that there are the teams that just perform at the most mediocre level and the most boring shit every single year, and it just keeps happening in these 2 divisions. No one can figure out why, because they obviously all get given the best of resources every draft season. Yet it just keeps on happening. But it is what it is. I'm a little different on these divisions this year. I think this could be the two divisions where there might be the biggest moves in terms of NFL, in terms of how some of these teams are going to go. So it's a little different. Yeah, but we're going to talk about them, boys, and I'm hoping everyone's keen and ready. Are we keen and ready?
Fired up.
Fired up, excellent.
Like a Viagra. Let's go. Sorry.
Much needed support for these two divisions.
All right. Well, I'll get the on that. Thanks, Brad. You're a trooper.
Jeez.
I will get up our 6-minute timer. So if you didn't join us last week, essentially we will go around both the divisions. We'll start with the AFC South, team by team. 6 minutes max per team. We will talk about in between us. And then at the end of that, we stop. We move on to the next team. We've got 2 timeouts total for both divisions. So don't use them quick, or do use them quick and suffer the consequences later on if we really want to talk deep about something. Dear God, it's the AFC and NFC South, so if we really need to talk about something deep, I don't know what we're doing personally. Anyway, so that's all we got. We're going to go around. Should be about 48 minutes from now, and we'll be all done and all said, and hopefully some great content in your ear holes. All right, who are we going to start with? I reckon we should start with the bottom of that AFC South division from last year. That means, Brad, you are up first with the number 1 overall pick and the Tennessee Titans.
My pleasure. And you're right, the bottom of the barrel, literally, for the entire NFL. Okay, kicks things off in Nashville, where the Titans, they're basically they're doing their best impression, I think, of a kind of like a mediocre Netflix drama. You know, you get a new cast, new plot. Everybody's wondering what's going to be happening. Is it going to be uplifting? Is it going to be a train wreck? Who knows? Cam Ward is officially taken off as the face of the franchise. He's already thrown out a pretty blunt review when he called his own offense very mid. But notice he's got a really veteran receiver room: Ridley, Lockett, Jefferson. So, and he's got some leaders on the defense that are out there barking orders and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, the injury bug has already hit him pretty bad. Spears is out, Levis is out, and the Levis thing I think is actually more significant than what people give it credit for, which I'll get to a little bit later. But it's one thing that with this Titans that has to change is, I'm going to throw out a couple stats here. They were outscored 117-40 in the first quarter last year, which, by the way, I made a mint on in the bets as a side note. So I used to bet against them in quarters because I knew they used to always get blown out in the first quarter. So it's a cheap, easy way to make money. It used to be. We'll see what happens. But they were basically, given first quarter leads like Oprah gives out cars, essentially. Tennessee, they averaged 16 points a game, which was the third worst in the league. So that's got to change. They've tried to change things up. One of the positives, I think, though, is this is O'Callahan, not the head coach, but his dad, who's the offensive line coach, Bill. It's his second year in the system, and you've seen them. Granted, it's just one game, it's preseason, but the way they were picking up the blitz was so much better than at any point last year. So if that offensive line can click and get into rhythm, I think that you're going to see Cam Ward, and you'll be able to get at least an accurate idea of who he is. So often these quarterbacks, they get this pumped so much with the early rush that it's hard to figure it out. And we saw it in Carolina, and just when you don't have any time, when you don't have any weapons, how damaging it can be to the quarterback. And it's not just Carolina. We've seen it so many times before. Last year, the Titans wide receivers caught only 8 touchdowns all last year. That's horrific, basically. Tied for the fewest in the NFL. And if you... One thing that I'm looking forward to is their rookie, Devondre Sweat. I don't know how you pronounce it. That dude is a beast. He's actually the heaviest draft pick, top first 2 rounds, heaviest draft pick in the first 2 rounds in like the last 25 years. So the guy is just an animal. So it'll be interesting. And apparently he's been doing pretty decent. So how are they going to go this year? It's real interesting, but I think if the fact that Levis is hurt, it kind of makes me go, okay, if Ward struggles early in this season, do you keep him out there knowing the psychological damage that this can cause, or do you ride that rookie wave? So do you pull him out to protect him? Oh, sorry, I've been rambling way too long. Do you pull him out to protect him, or do you let him go? Nick, what do you think?
I think that Cam Ward psychologically he comes across this guy as and you can see it in training camps, like him coming out to the media and saying what he said about the team. He
Hmm.
also they had a training their training camp the other day. He actually held the team back. Their first session that they had the joint practice with the Falcons, and he held everyone back and said, "We need more intensity. We need like he's doing this before even playing a proper game in the
Hmm.
NFL, which shows a lot of leadership. And he's obviously hanging a lot out on the line for saying all this stuff. So
Yeah.
I actually think it'll be good for him to be able to go through, experience it. Take a few hits. You have your welcome to the NFL moment. You go through it. They're not going to be. I don't think they're going to win the division, but I
Hmm.
think they're going to be doing enough to be able to win a few more games. It's clearly an upgrade at quarterback. Um, L'Jarius Sneed actually comes back. That's one thing that I noticed. For the Titans, he didn't play a lot last year. He
Hmm.
comes back. They were
Hmm.
quite good with their pass defense. So
Hmm.
I think if they, defensively they're solid. Offensively if they can get their stuff together. I can see them as almost a team that at least maybe doubles their wins. I don't know about you, Isaac.
Yeah, I'm much along the line with you there, Nick. I like that Cam Ward's coming out, holding the team back, showing really great leadership, it's really refreshing for a quarterback or a first overall pick to come out and not say the same things to the media like, "Oh yeah, we're working on it with this. We're mid and we've
Mm,
got to get better." I think
Hmm.
that's a really good
yep.
attitude to have, and he's already showing the leadership that he needs to.
Yeah.
Ian, got any thoughts on the Titans?
Not a great deal. To be honest, you boys said quite a lot then. So
No, we
no,
did, and I did. And one thing, I just apologize for not to the secondary for not mentioning them because their secondary is pretty
Really
elite.
good.
They've got 13 combined Pro Bowls. Granted, if they were a band, they'd probably be the Rolling Stones because they're so old. But they are still good. So if they can stay healthy, they'll be elite safety group.
yeah, all right, cool. Um,
Happy to roll off the first cab with all the the crusty bottoms.
you've
So
you've done well, mate. Tennessee Titans 5.5 is their under over for this season. It's not a big line, but I still think that they're going to manage to go under. Or do I? I don't know. What do you boys think?
I'm taking them under still. I just think they got too many question marks with them across the board. They're improved, but I still taking the under.
Yeah, I've got them going the under as well. I think they will get 5 wins though. I think they'll be very close to the mark.
Yes,
But
that's exactly what I
them
think.
going the
5 wins.
Yep.
Yep.
Agree,
I
Nick?
actually got them going slightly over. Slightly over. I think they probably can get to 6 or 7 wins. Their schedule isn't that tough. Like a division's not that sort of tough either, compared to the rest of the team. So you can pick up a few divisional wins. So I think they just go over.
Okay. Righto. Easy. Well, yeah, I'm definitely under then. I joked about it, but I'm under. Um, so Nick is the only one over, so that's good that not all of us are the same. All right, we will go. I am nowhere near ready with the Colts preview yet, so let's go with Nick. How about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
So staying in that swamp known as the South. Yeah, so the Jags. So now they acquire probably the best two-way player in the state now. I don't know, you could say Bam Adebayo, you could say Paulo Banchero, but now they've got Travis Hunter. So I'd probably say he's probably the best two-way sports player in the state there now. So look, as we probably know, as soon as that trade got done and on draft night they announced they're picking him at number 2, Travis Hunter was probably going to be playing both ways. Now, obviously, we know this is going to happen because they wouldn't give up that much to not play in both ways. But is this going to be maximizing his actual talent? So
Hmm.
it's sort of a thing of, is he going to be great at one thing, or they're going to try and make him good at two different things? So how do they actually get the best out of him? So we mentioned that they moved up a lot to try and get him. So they gave up a first round pick for next year's draft,
Hmm.
which becomes really interesting for them. Seeing as though they think that getting a player like this could potentially put them as a wild card. Well, they must be thinking that if they're moving up this much to get a player like that who's not a quarterback. Um, but for Jacksonville, though, on the flip side, from what we can see, it unfortunately hasn't been the same since that famous comeback win against the Chargers in the wild card round, where they came back from like 4 scores down and ended up winning that game and progressing through. So, since then, Trevor Lawrence hasn't found that consistency. He's had, multiple injuries. It really has hampered him with trying to grow with his game into the talent that he was in college. Running back like ETN has also gone backwards. So, the question is, can Liam Cohen now unlock him like he did with Bucky Irving? And, you look at what he did with Baker Mayfield, making him a better quarterback. Can he do that with Trevor Lawrence? So those are some of the questions that you can ask. So last season, that they'll bat on both sides of the ball in the end. But there's a couple of things to look at moving into the season. As we mentioned now, Trevor Lawrence now with Liam Cohen, he's back healthy. And obviously now with this emerging star receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. And, Travis Hunter potentially is there too. Obviously provides a good two, as we've seen with Colorado when he did last year. So with that as well, they also went, it's quite an alarming stat. There was a few times actually last year when Matty C had reminded us when briefly talking about the Jags that they were 3-11 in one-score games last season, which is, you know,
Hmm.
it's bad, but it also is like, are we that far away? So in the NFL, there usually is a law of equilibrium with these sort of things, depending on the team. Over a couple of years, can that sort of pendulum swing? Do they become a lot better in one score games? But with that, are they able to get the best out of being able to be better in those one score games, getting over the top? Does Travis Hunter solve all of their problems on both sides of the ball and turn them into a playoff team? Or are they going to have the same struggles, Brad?
I don't think they're going to have the same struggles. I think they're going to be much, much improved. I it would not surprise me if they give Houston a run for their money. I still think I'm kind of letting Houston. I think they're going to win, but I think that you're going to see a much, much improved Jags team. I think you're exactly right. They're not going to go 3-11 in one score games. You know, are they going to flip that? Are they going to go, and go 11-3 or whatever it was? No, but I think they're a much better team than what they showed. They got devastated by those injuries. So no, and I'm still a believer in Trevor. I know that a lot of teams, or a lot of people don't like him, but I think he's the real deal, and I think he's got good weapons around him. And I think this is gonna be a breakout year for him.
Yeah, I'm also high on the Jags this year, and they will give the Texans a run for their money. I think Lawrence is going to have a breakout year, like you just said, Brad, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll become a top 10 quarterback in the league. He's got weapons now, as you've been saying, Brian Thomas. In the depth chart, Travis Hunter is wide receiver 2 and a second string linebacker. So you can read into that what you want, but he'll mostly be playing on offense. And I think they're going to turn the running back room into a bit of a committee there. They're just going to have one out-and-out running back. I think they're going to come back and it'll be Bigsby and ETN.
I think you have to, just for health reasons, because we've seen ETN just get so banged up over the time, which the guy's unreal, but no, let's face it. I think the fun, exciting thing will be just how exactly do they use Travis Hunter? That's it, because how many teams have had this problem before? When was the last time? I mean, realistically, Dion, truthfully. So this is a generational situation, and I'd be really curious to see how they go about utilizing them.
Well, now they've got 2 generational talents, so they've got to be able to utilize both of them, to be honest. And to me, this is the last season. I'm high on them this season, but it's the last season for Trevor Lawrence to be able to prove that he can actually play the guitar and
I think that's
do
fair.
something.
Yeah.
And after that, where do we anoint him? Because he's not going to be the boy who will lead them after that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of at some point you got to say he is who he is.
Correct. Yeah. 7.5 is their over/under wins. It's still quite small, but we are in the South. I've got them going over. I've got them firmly over and winning this division. But
no, you're really over on them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm over.
I'm over as well, and I reckon I'll get 10 plus wins.
I don't think they'll get that many, but I think it's 7.5 is a pretty low line to me, and it's a pretty easy. I think that's a pretty easy bet for me. 7.5 for the Jags. I do have them fairly well up there. I think it's going to be more like 10 or 11, because I've got them winning the division, and I just the way it is and the way it sets up for them, I think it's a pretty good year for them, and that's why I was saying personally, Trevor Lawrence, if they can't get Trevor Lawrence to succeed this year, then there is a problem. Nick?
Yeah, I've got them going over as well. I really wanted to have them as a wild card team, as like an upset, but
It's tough out of this division.
Grab them. It is, particularly with I mean, like we said, if anyone could really take a hold of the division, then for sure, like if you think that they're going to win the division, then that's probably their path in. But yeah, there's no way that this division has 2 playoff teams this year. So just have them outside looking in, unfortunately.
All right, let's go to Indianapolis for the Indianapolis Colts. The QB battle obviously has made all the headlines this offseason. Will Anthony Richardson be able to handle the rigors of NFL football, or will Daniel Jones take over and do his best Sam Darnold 2024 impression and show he shed the Giants' stink? So many questions remain, though, apart from that QB battle. Can head coach Shane Steichen revamp an offense that is far too reliant on running back Jonathan Taylor? Can a defense that failed to get stops in crucial games at the end of last season rebound with new defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo? With moving off 2 starters on the O-line, because they moved a couple of guys on, can second-year lineman Bortolini and Goncalves handle protection well enough to protect whoever wins that QB job? They drafted right tackle Jalen Travis. Can he step up on the O-line and play? Rookie Tyler Warren is touted as the ultimate weapon at tight end. That is a direct quote I took from many media outlets this week. Who can stretch? So he's touted as someone who can stretch the field. Can he make an immediate impact? And just who is the wide receiver 1? Is it Josh Downs or maybe the ghost of Michael Pittman Jr.? Either way, it's not great. And I don't feel great, Isaac, about the Indianapolis Colts this season.
Yeah, I also don't feel great about the Indianapolis Colts. You got 2 turnover machines at quarterback, so pick your poison of who's going to overthrow the wide receivers. I think, answering your questions, it's going to be Josh Downs by the end of the season. I think Pittman will fall off, and Josh Downs is such a good deep threat that he's going to take over. And Warren will be fun to watch to see what he does. Will he have a Brock Bowers type season or Sam Laporta from the year before? It's going to be one to watch, but the offense isn't good and the defense is pretty mid as well. So I don't see them going far. What about you, Brad?
I think we're talking about the wide receivers. I think the name you're going to hear by the end of this season, who's going to be number one, is A.D. Mitchell. He was their second round draft pick last year, and he flashed huge in the preseason last year, and he didn't quite produce in the regular season. He has had some attitudinal shift, apparently the reports are, and he's showing that same potential. He's just flashing a lot, and wide receiver coach Reggie Wayne is just saying all the right things about him and his attitude. So I think you're going to see him. He's going to be the one that's going to step up and really, and if he does, like if he steps into that true number one spot, then all of a sudden that wide receiver group is actually okay. I think, our argument, what we're talking about is, do they have a true number one? No, not really, not yet. Nobody's that's proven themselves. I think, Pittman is just a shell of himself. So, yeah, if A.D. Mitchell, and that's a big if, but if he can come through, then I think they'll be okay. And I still like their running back room, Taylor, and I still like the O-line. It's not nearly what it was, but they're decent. So I think they can make some noise, but so much of it just depends on the quarterback situation.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it during this training camp. Like, I think everyone before it had started was like, okay, Daniel Jones going to have his chance, going to be a bit like Sam Darnold with the Vikings last year. But we've gotten a bit through this training camp, and now it's like, oh, maybe Anthony Richardson is going to be taking over. It's like, is that a good thing?
Yeah,
Is it a
right.
bad
Exactly.
thing? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And for me, like, if they, if, for me, these receivers is a bit like a different version of what the Packers have had, where it's like, who is the number one receiver? Who is actually that go-to? I agree with you that Mitchell's probably going to end up being that number one. So, it might actually be that Tyler Warren's their best. I think he's probably going to be their best pass catcher. But,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in terms of their receivers, Mitchell, I think, will probably be their best. Then defensively, they've got Lou Anarumo. Now, remembering he was the DC for the Bengals, who,
Yes.
their front seven, the Colts, was very bad last year. I think it was like bottom 8 or 7 in sacks also.
Mm-hmm.
And their pass defense was not that great. Their
Mm.
secondary is not that great. They've
Mm-hmm.
added
Mm-hmm.
Charvarius Ward from us. Obviously, he's had some injury issues, but took his money. But Lou Anarumo with the Bengals last year, that secondary with the Bengals couldn't stop Bishop Sycamore from passing all over that high school team. So how they're going to be able to go this year is another thing with Lou Anarumo. Look, he's had a good word put through for himself. Like, he's been around for a while. He's
Mm-hmm.
been for a while. So is he rejuvenated? I really don't see the upside with the Colts this year. The only way I can see them not finishing like the bottom of this division is like if Richardson takes those next steps, you can actually see some consistency. But apart from that, I don't know. I can't see it.
I think the Anarumo thing is he runs a very complex defense. So if those guys can pick it up, then I think they'll be okay. It just depends on how smart that they are, really, and how soon they can pick those things up. It wouldn't surprise me if by the end of the season you see that defense really start to come together. But they're going to take lumps early on.
7.5 wins is the under-over for the Indianapolis Colts. I think that is way too high.
Yeah,
and I've gone the under.
Same here.
I'm a bit more optimistic. I think they're going to get the 8. So I'm going the over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under. I know previous seasons they've managed to find their ways to put games together and win games, despite having whoever at quarterback. But
Hmm.
no, I think this is the year where it probably comes to a halt. So I'm gonna go the under.
Righto. Isaac, you're going to bring us home in the division with the Houston Texans. Let's go on down to Houston.
Let's go. The Houston Texans. So CJ Stroud will be looking to bounce back from a up and down sophomore season. Having Nico Collins healthy for the season will be an absolute bonus. He is an absolute superstar. And along with Christian Kirk and Jaden Higgins, who by all reports is an absolute stud, which you don't give guaranteed money to a second round rookie unless you really love him, and that's what the Texans did. The issue going into the season is Mixon and his foot injury. It'll be one closer to watch at the start of the season. Nick Chubb is there, but by looking at some video of training camp, he's not moving like he used to. So that'll be one to watch. What are they going to do there at the running back? Will it be Mixon coming back, or will it be Chubb to start the season? Nick, what do you think about CJ Stroud this year?
Yeah, I'm really hoping that them trading away Laramie Tunsil isn't going to bite them. Their offensive line was already bad enough as it is, and then when you go
Hmm.
and trade a Pro Bowl left tackle, um, you know, it becomes a little bit more difficult to have a look into seeing, how can Stroud really take that next step. They have somewhat covered for it in some way. You've got Trent Brown in there. They've now brought across Laken Tomlinson at guard. They've also drafted in the second round with another tackle. So hopefully it gets put together for them, because I think that's the best way for him to be able to take that next step from his rookie season. You mentioned about the running backs having a bit of issues there with injuries, so I think that's the best way. You're going to give him that opportunity. They've got those receivers there. Higgins, like you said, I've heard good things about with his training camp. Obviously, Nico Collins is still there. So one thing I will say is that with this team, the reason that I have them still sort of winning this division is, even though if they could struggle early on, their last sort of three home games are against teams that missed the playoffs. So they play three home games in the last 4 weeks, and they're all against teams that missed the playoffs. So it could be something where, they're sort of laboring through. They get to the last month in December and they go bang, 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 and that gets them there. So for me, I think CJ Stroud can take that next step, and that sort of runway gives him a bit of a bump before, potentially the playoffs again.
Yeah, that O line scares me. So I've got them picked, like I said earlier, I've got them picked winning the division, but that O line really scares me, and it wouldn't shock me if they don't. They gave up 20 plus pressures per game last season, which I think was like the worst or one of the worst in the NFL. So if they continue to do that, people talked about Stroud regressing, but who wouldn't regress under that line with that much pressure? So they have to shore that up, but it doesn't really look like they did. And my concern is they've got a new offensive coordinator, they got a new O-line coach, and that stuff takes time to gel. But if you don't get your act together, you're starting out, 0-2, 0-3. I don't remember who they have their schedule wise, what they're starting off with, but I have some concerns about them. I think defensively they're okay, but offensively, Stroud's going to have to take another step up.
So this is their schedule until the bye week. So they're at the Rams, then home against Tampa, at Jacksonville, Tennessee at home, and then at Baltimore. So bit sort of up and down. There's some winnable games, but there's also some games where they could be
Yeah,
shown up, and some trap games. So a bit of everything really.
yeah, you're right.
So
You're right.
they play three division games in their first 4 weeks. So that's pretty good when most teams are supposed to be at their absolute healthiest and they're best and ready and raring to go. They get to play all three of their first division games against those opponents. So I don't know. It sets up as a good thing. Starting off with the Rams, I think will be a proper test, and then backing it up with the Bucs. But then you've got the Ravens after that, and then it kind of goes off a cliff after bye week. With a few teams that could be quite strong in the middle of the season, like the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Broncos. So bit tough.
Defense was 10th last year, ranked 10th. So they got a good defense to go.
Yeah.
If their offense can click, then that's going to win them some games.
I expect that defense to take another step this year. They'll move up from that 10th. They'll still be a top 10. I don't think they're going to eke into the top 5 in defenses, but I think they'll be just outside that. I would think that's what I would expect them to do.
That's Brian Flores out at Houston, isn't it? The DC?
No, he flows at Vikings.
Nah, D'Amico Ryan's running
D'Amico,
yeah,
yeah,
as the head coach, yeah. But I think that's what's going to set them apart is that they've still got easily the best defense in the division, even with Tennessee maybe getting a little bit better. Like you've got Hunter on one side, Will Anderson on the other side, making plays up front. They've probably got by default probably the best receiving core because Collins is so good. So and probably the best quarterback as well. So there's a lot there.
There is a lot there. All right. So over for the Houston Texans is currently set at 9.5 with the bookies. Nick, what do you got them going at?
Over. Yeah, I still think they'll go over in the division.
Yeah, I've got them going over as well.
I'm taking them under. I think it's gonna be a struggle. I think the 9 is where they'll end up at.
I've got them under. I've got them lower than that 9. My crazy picks, my crazy game picks that I talked about last week, are still there. So there's some that are a bit wild, but yeah. I've got them under, and I think it's just the quality of the opposition they've got through the middle of the season is the hardest part they've got to come to grips with in terms of win-losses this season. Righto, division predictions. Brad, I'd be keen to hear yours first.
So, like what I've referred to earlier, I got Houston going 1. I've got Jacksonville 2, but really I see it as kind of 1 and 1A. And then Colts 3 and Titans 4.
Yep, that's the same for me.
Yeah, Nick?
I have Houston 1, Jacksonville 2, Tennessee 3, Colts 4.
All right, and Ian's wild division predictions. The Jags 1, the Colts 2, Texans 3, Titans 4. So I'm a bit all over the place, but it makes sense when you look at some of the schedules and the picks that I did. As I said, I picked every game, so I'm going to live with whatever I did at the start of the season. I'm going to run with it. Okay.
I've got Jacksonville making the playoffs as a wild card.
Wow.
I've got only the Jags. To me, it's one team and one team only gets out of this division. I don't think another one can get to a wild card. I think those under-over predictions are reflective of that as well. Everybody, in terms of where the bookies have them sitting at the moment, like 7.5, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5, they're not numbers that get into a wild card position.
Yeah, true.
So only the winner is going to end up at that spot. I think in the AFC, our conference predictions later will be a little bit interesting in terms of who we think will be hitting that bottom wild card spot. But I honestly don't think it's going to be someone from the south.
Aussie.
It might be pretty obvious, but I am not Matty C.
NFL.
Absolutely stoked to have it on the podcast, mate. Welcome.
Fantasy.
Say, I think it's time you just abused your mate here.
Would you rather be fighting zombies or aliens?
Find hidden gems.
And with that, we're into some breakouts.
I'm glad you're stalling because my results last week were a hot piece of ass.
We all had our struggles, mate.
We've unzipped the Penix and it's time to put the Penix in the pit. Let's do it.
I'm taking Trey McBride.
I'm just leaning on the old tuck shop, tuck graft.
And all of a sudden, he's just lighting them up.
catch starts of the week.
I'm just going to go ahead and take Goff at Chicago.
So I'm going to go running back. I'm going to take Travis Etienne.
I'm going to go ahead and take your boy Ty Tracy.
I'm going to take Adam Thielen.
So I'm going to go and take Richo against Tennessee.
I'll take Matt Stafford.
Just will float out the Dalton Kincaid.
I'm actually going to take Caleb against the Lions.
Friday and Sunday all season long. The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network.
Got to give me the dance floor. I'll probably fucking snap the floorboards.
Righto, that is the AFC South done and dusted for division previews. Let's move on to the NFC South, one of the most premier divisions in the NFC, of course. Let's start with former number 1 overall pick, and what did they have last year? That's number 2 overall pick before they traded it away. The Carolina Panthers. Brad, let's go on down to Carolina.
Please, I think we need to do a full episode where you guys only speak in Southern accents.
And you can do an Aussie one.
Yes, and I'll do an Aussie one. Yes, that way we can all look like idiots. Oh, man. G'day, everybody. How you doing? Sorry. Okay. So we're looking at here down in Carolina. Basically, the vibe is completely different in Carolina. I know Isaac's real high on him. I'll give him plenty of time here to talk about him in a little bit. But think about it. This is year 3 for Bryce Young. It's the first time in years that the Panthers actually do have some stability. They got the same head coach, Dave Canales. They got the same GM. They got the same QB1. You know, it's basically they've found a unicorn, which is crazy for this franchise. Young is looking good in camp. The ball is he's just delivering it. And the big surprise is one of the rookies is a surprise, Jalen Coker. Although I think he's actually second year. I'm not sure, second year. But he's been playing really, really well. But Tet McMillan is playing good as in addition to that. So what was historically a really bad wide receiver room last year is actually showing some depth and a decent. I shouldn't say depth, but it's showing some decent potential there. So, and on the defensive side of the ball, Derek Brown's back healthy. The defense has been completely retooled. So they're looking at bringing in like 6 new starters on there. So it's kind of up in the air, but the optimism is good. One thing that you have to take into consideration is last year they were the worst scoring defense in the league. Their depth behind J.C. Horn is not that good. When Horn's playing, it's great. We've talked about that on the podcast. How when he's on the field, it's fine, but you just can't count on him to be on the field. So they had the worst scoring defense since the 66 Giants. You combine that with the fact that they only scored less than 20 points in 12 games last season. So, but you've seen things start to turn around with Young and everything and the way he's playing. And especially in that last 8 games, he was like 70% on his completions. He had a 17-7 touchdown to interception ratio in the second half of the season. So really improved. He still takes way too many sacks, but it's much better. I think that O-line, they've invested a lot into it. So especially the interior, which they have to, especially because he's a small quarterback. He's short by quarterback standards. So we'll see. There's a lot of question marks. So I can understand people's optimism, but I just don't know if it's actually going to bear fruit or not. That's what we'll see. One good thing they got going in their favor is the schedule. The schedule is pretty favorable for them. They're only playing 4 non-playoff teams. Or sorry, they're only playing 4 former playoff teams, as I should say, from last season. So, basically the NFL schedule, it's kind of like, to use a skiing analogy, that they're on a bunny slope. So, is it still possible to fail? Yeah, but there shouldn't be any excuses for them, essentially. So, we'll see. The one question I would have, Isaac, if they don't miss the playoffs, or excuse me, if they do miss the playoffs, or if they don't take a big jump forward, who's packing their bags first? Is it going to be Bryce Young's fall, or is it going to be Dave Canales? Who's taking the fall? Are they going to retool all over again? I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's going to be Canales, because it always ends up being the coach.
Yeah, right.
Who will then pack their bags. But I'll let Nick and Ian go on this, because I'll probably use a timeout at the end. I've got a few stats that
I love it. I love it.
I'll just foreshadow it, as they say.
I was going to say, because when looking at the Panthers, I really want to know what it is that you think is going to get them over the top. Because Brad mentioned the good points. Their O-line's improved. I can see how that's making Bryce Young play a little bit better. I like the combination of, you've got Thielen, but you've also got Gday, who can take a step. They've got McMillan now. So that's okay. And then run game's okay. Defensively, though, like JC Horn, and then it's like they've got Derek Brown back, who can plug some holes for them up front.
Mm-hmm.
Then apart from that, it's like, I just don't know. Unless there's this, there must be something that you're seeing that we're not with just this jump, because I really want to know what it is.
I think, well, it's a lot of hope and optimism. That's where that's where I'm putting it. But Isaac may have a little bit different picture on it. I would agree that the depth behind JC Horn is suspect. I think they definitely can't get any worse defensively.
The mark is they can't get worse. Okay,
yeah, that's their benchmark.
I don't know. I think that they can get better than what they did last season. I don't know
Better, yeah.
how much better they can get. They have to get better than last season, because you can't get worse. Because
Their
the Saints,
defense, yeah.
well,
Absolutely.
the whole lot of it, really. The Saints are already going to have the mantle of getting worse than everybody else this season. So it can't be the Panthers. So, yeah, I think that they will get better. How much better? I don't know. If you go by my crazy predictions, it's a bit better. But I like the Panthers. I think that they will take a step forward. I don't know. I'm really keen to hear. Isaac's been super high on him, so I really want him to take the floor. So we've just gone into full timeout here. I knew we were going to end up using one of these 2 timeouts tonight on the Panthers for certain. So, but you need to explain to us how you've got these guys essentially winning a Super Bowl. He's going to say it, Brad. He's going to say it, Brad. I know he is.
So the Panthers last year, after week 9, right? So after they've had the Andy Dalton and Bryce Young go away and come back. So after week 9, they beat the Saints, they beat the Giants, they had the bye, they lost to KC, lost to Tampa, and lost to Philly, all by 1 score. 2 scores to Dallas, beat Arizona, and then lost big to Tampa, and then beat Atlanta in the last week. There were signs there last year without McMillan or the draft that they were competitive in games, and me and Ian discussed this on the Overreaction show last year. We just think they were feeling it out to see where they could go next year. They didn't want to go too high, so now this is a year for them to really take the next step. And one of the underrated signings of the season will be Hunter Renfrow, the wide receiver, who's come back to the game after, I believe, mental health issues and wanting to step away. He's come back to the game, so and by all reports, he's killing it at training camp. But the main reason they are going to get to the Super Bowl...
What? Whoa.
You thought I was joking, Brad. I knew he was getting it.
Brad.
Whoa!
So every year that Jennifer Lopez gets divorced and the Ohio State Buccaneers win the national championship, the following year, the Panthers go to the Super Bowl.
Well, Lopez gets
Look it
divorced like every other year, so
Look it up. And what happened last year? Ohio State won the national championship, and Jennifer Lopez got divorced.
If that is not the wildest stat.
And another one is that they had a losing record the year before.
The year before, yeah. Oh my!
But they were not.
Oh my!
They were close to a 500 team when that happened.
Oh my
I tell you what,
goodness!
that level of numerology, this is a bit off topic for a different sport, is like the people that are saying every time a GTA game comes out, Man United win the Premier League, which is also not happening. So let's also get that out of the way. I see where you're heading. Like I said, I like the wide receiver room that Carolina's got. They definitely improve. It's just defensively, what do they look like defensively? I think that's a big thing because, like, even though they had those one-score games, yeah, they were scoring points, but it's just more so they can't get those stops. So if they can get those stops, maybe there is a line of thinking where they can actually, at least double their wins and maybe get close to 500. But they're going to be better defensively.
And to Ian's point before, they're in a pretty bad division, right? That Tampa's owned, so there's a chance for them to take the division.
Wow.
Wow, that's all we can say, Brad.
Shout out to J-Lo.
I love it.
And that's
All
not
right.
Jordan Love either.
Kenny from the block, baby.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Righto. Well, to go with Isaac's amazing prediction, the Carolina Panthers are at 6.5 wins. What do we got?
Going over, obviously.
I hope so.
He's going to go under. They're winning the Super Bowl and they're going under.
I'm afraid I've got them going under. I don't have near that much faith as you. This would be the wildest swing. No, I think I'm going to stick with what I've got. Oh man, I love it.
I got him the under, just though. Just.
I've got him over.
Sorry.
You're right, Brad. I knew where that was going, so I'll just letting you go and just to take then that full glory of Isaac's insanity. So I'm glad that me with the Panthers at 9 wins isn't the most insane thing we've just heard in the last 10 minutes.
Tell you what, we should have made that a water bet.
Well, there's no reason we can't. We're here right now. We're still on a timeout. I haven't whistled back in yet. So
another one.
Do we get a water bet? Isaac, do you want to water bet this?
Yeah,
you've got it. Yeah. What do you want? Super Bowl, or do you want to? What do you want to go for? Do you want to go as far as the Super Bowl, or do you want to go something bigger than that? Do you just want to go and get? Do you want to go and win in the division? Do you want to just start with?
Just go win in the division.
Yeah,
win the division.
All right. 3v1. This is definitely 3v1. I think. Yeah, because I don't have winning. So
done.
All right.
All right. Add that to the marker.
And then either water or next year at the NFL game in Melbourne, you owe us all beers. All right. So.
Yeah, for that too.
I may be water boating myself.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go, Nick. Let's get this one out of the way with New Orleans Saints.
Jeez. It's getting even worse.
If we spend 6 minutes on this, boys, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, well, that's good because I didn't prepare much either for this.
Neither do they. All right. Boom.
Neither will they. So, what can we say about the Saints, really? So, Kellen Moore joins just an abysmal situation. He's come from, such a well-drilled, fine machine, which is the Philadelphia's offense, where everything is just A+ level, And now he joins a team where we've got no idea who the quarterback will be, an injury-prone running back, an offensive line that's very short, and a receiving core with Chris Olave that's hurt. So, as we said, they're now deciding between Tyler Schaff, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Spencer
Gio.
Rattler. And Rattler, in the games that we saw last year, in the very few games we saw, looked well over his head in the NFL compared to what he was at the Sooners. But looking at this roster, though, I mean, everyone would probably agree it is hard to see what can really leapfrog them into being even competitive. Like they've got a few older guys that are there, so you've got your Demario Davises, your Cam Jordans, those sort of guys. Honey Badger just retired on defense, obviously. It's actually something that in the first time in 10 years, I'll actually have someone else taking over their defense with Brandon Staley there now. So obviously with that, they'll move to a 3-4 defense. So there will be some changes there, obviously, and we'll see how they sort of adjust to that. Offensively, how much can they really squeeze out of this unit? Like they've got McCoy up front, who's one of the league's best centers. Is actually quite a gem for them. They've drafted Kelvin Banks at pick 9, which also did help them. As we said, Olave is hurt, and actually something that we mentioned in the green room in regarding Kamara, if they can actually keep him fit, get him a bit of value, I wouldn't, like if I was a Saints fan, I wouldn't mind moving him on to get as many picks as they potentially can, just to see what they can sort of get out of it. So yeah, don't be surprised if he's sort of shopped around and they can get a bit of a return on investment for him. But the real question is, after all that, for this season, is how quickly do the Texas Longhorns fans adopt Saints fans as part of their own fan base this season as they watch Arch Manning every Saturday? Isaac, how quickly is it? Over, under, week 4.
Under.
Week
Under.
under.
So,
Oh
so I've
my
got another.
goodness.
I've got another stat for you for the New Orleans Saints. Which, do you know, in their quarterback room, they have 0 regular season wins. Not
That's
one
insane.
QB has won a game in that room, and my prediction is they won't by the end of the season either.
That's not going to change.
Yeah. So,
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's Spencer Rattler and Tyler Show.
Yeah.
How did we say that again?
Show.
Show.
I think
there's another
Shove,
one there too.
as
I
in
think.
shove, but
Shove? God Lord, we sound like a bunch of amateurs right now.
Yeah, so I don't see that changing. Their third string quarterback is, I'm just looking up because he hasn't won a game either, Jake Hayner. So,
Goodness.
Yeah, he hasn't played much either.
It's very bleak. It's very, very bleak. And like Nick was saying, they are going to declare that Archie Manning, if he declares, there's a lot of talk here that he'll stay at Texas next year.
Yeah, I like, just like Brad, I've got a big respect for Kellen Moore. I love his game. I love the way he plays. And I think we talked about this when he signed there, I really hope he just hasn't been put into a completely shit situation where he ends up as a one-and-done coach.
I think he is.
Because, I hope they've guaranteed him more, knowing the fact that their franchise position in terms of the salary cap that they've been kicking down the road for years, right since Drew Brees was there. They've been kicking that can down the road, and it's really come to bite them in the ass. And sooner or later, any of these franchises that do that, it's going to come and bite them in the ass, and they have to take care of it. So I'm really hoping that they know that they have to get rid of this stuff, and that they're going to have to play with a bunch of rookies and a bunch of no-names and just do the best they possibly can. And I'm with Nick. They should probably move Alvin Kamara on at some point and just get what they can. But I don't expect much from the Saints this year at all.
I think
it's pretty bad. There you go, Brad.
I was going to say, I originally was hoping that you're exactly what you said, Ian, that he was going to be able to have a fair go, but I don't think he is. I think he's going to be a one-and-done coach, which is unfortunate because I think he deserves a legitimate shot. But I think if they go with the quarterback, Manning, I think they'll try and bring in somebody, of noteworthiness and high value, that type of thing. So we'll see. We'll see.
I don't. I
love
generally.
that it's.
Yeah, go. Sorry, Nick.
I love that it's. I love that it's August and we're talking about the draft. That's how much confidence we've got in this team. I was going to say, yeah, there's a few quarterbacks next year that they could look at. So even if they don't get the first pick,
Truth.
there's
I
plenty there.
genuinely don't think it's Archie Manning. Whether he doesn't go into the draft or just something else happens, I generally don't think it's going to be Archie Manning to the Saints.
Guys,
because I don't.
congratulations. We've just done the impossible and talked about the Saints for 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Yeah.
I
Way
think
to
we did that
go.
Only
last-
because we're talking about next year's draft. So
Yeah, that's right. We did talk about
That's
everything
why.
but the New Orleans Saints. Okay, one of you doesn't have. No, where am I reading that? I'm reading the wrong line. Do any of you not have the New Orleans Saints at 0 wins?
I think they'll win a game. I think it's you gotta be historically bad to not. Well, I mean, it's only been
Are we
done
saying
once.
this? Are we really saying this team is not historically bad, Brad? We've just talked about that. They've
Well,
got.
we water
There's,
bet this,
They
Brad?
are. They.
there's no genuine hope here. I can't.
I'll water bet that. I'll
Yeah,
water bet
okay,
that.
done.
Okay, their under/over is 5.5. Is insane. 5.5 is insane. I just have the bookies
That is
even.
ridiculous. That's
I mean,
easy money.
That is easy money.
That is the easiest money. Oh, help.
Even if it's not 0 wins, even if it's not absolutely nothing, a big goose egg.
5.5. Sell the car. Sell the car. 5.5.
Is that actually on Sportsbet? Can we verify that?
It's
Jeez.
that one's taken from PointsBet. I don't think Sportsbet have got their lines up yet. They've been really stingy on all NFL future lines.
Yeah, they
Sportsbet
have.
this year.
I made me want to switch, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
It's been shit. Yeah, well, we may have to end up switching our group for best bets because PointsBet, for instance, have lines on everything. I could find a whole lot, and TAB do as well. So might have to figure out moving away from Sportsbet if they're not going to have the balls to put up some lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Under. I see that across the board on all of our data here. We're all unders, under 5.5, because that's an insane line for the New Orleans Saints in 2025. It just is. Isaac, Atlanta Falcons. Can you talk to me about the Penix?
Can talk to you about the Penix. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't really want them to go well because we've got their first pick next year in round 1. Well, last year we got a small sample size of Penix Jr. In the 5 games, and although he got better with each game, NFL coaches are too smart. They would have done their work in the off season to figure out a way to stop him. I don't like any of his receivers, to be honest. Mooney, Drake London, I'm not big fans of. And Kyle Pitts is the guy that's just never coming to fruition. I think they're in for a long season. Mid-level defense and the coaching staff is going to be under pressure from the get-go. That's my take on the Falcons. Have you got any thoughts on that, Ian?
On the Falcons, I do have some thoughts on it, I guess. I don't know. I think that they will be better. I think Penix will be better, is probably where I'm trying to say there. I think he has got a lot of talent he needed that year to develop. The whole Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix situation has been a bit of a shit show. I don't know why they haven't tried to move Cousins on at all. If they have, how the hell have they been unsuccessful? I don't know. So it's just a distraction, is what I'm finding. And I don't hold out a lot of hope for the Falcons because that distraction seems like it's going to hang around a lot for the year. They've got a lot of other questions in terms of lines and who's playing on what. Brad, any thoughts from you on the Falcons?
I'm actually high on the Falcons. So
You've watched a lot of Falcons football over the last couple of years.
I have, mate. Let me tell you that.
Loved a bit of Arthur Smith, Brad did.
There was 2 years ago. I think I watched every game. So it was not smart. Anyway, I think they are going to find their rhythm. They were doing good last year until Kirk Cousins got hurt. I mean, they were 6-3. Kirk Cousins gets hurt, and they suck it up. If Penix can deliver, and I think Morris, the coach, he is smart enough to go with if Penix is not delivering it, he'll switch back to Cousins. He knows what he's got in Cousins, and a healthy Cousins is good. I think that's part of the reason why they haven't traded him. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them. Here's my wild take: win the division. So I just think their offense is that dynamic. I know you're saying, Isaac, that you're not as high on London and Pitts and those guys, and I don't know, maybe it's just the eternal optimist in me, but I love London, and I think Pitts, if he can stay healthy, then he's dynamic because he's always just dinged up. So that's the key there. And they've tried to shore up the defense. You know, they bring in Ronnie Harrison, so at the safety position, so which should give them something or quite a bit actually. So we'll see. But I think that division is so poor. I think you're going to see Tampa Bay regress. I think you're going to see all those teams regress. That they're going to be able to pull it off. So that's my outlandish bet.
I'm not as bullish as Brad on the Falcons, but I think there is a world that does exist where if Penix does kick in the gear, that there is a chance that something can happen. Because I mean, if Penix was coming into this year's draft, I mean, it's a sort of a strong shout, but I would think that he'd be, based off what he did in college with, taking Washington to the national title game, a couple of years ago against Michigan. He was phenomenal in that season and that run all the way. He would be one of probably the best quarterback coming into the draft that just happened, Michael Penix. So if they can find a way to be able to get him into gear, even this quickly, I know that they were planning on probably doing it maybe the season after this one. If they can figure out a way how to get him into gear, they've got the talent. They've got Bijan Robinson. He can be used in so many ways. They've got London there. If they can get it, and now apparently this, we talk about Kyle Pitts. He's golfing buddies with Michael Penix now. So what can that lead to?
Well,
They play golf together.
Tap on
that
the
could be
lube
huge.
and hope for a good time because they're gonna.
I thought
I don't know
was
what you
clutching
boys-
at straws with the J-Lo thing. Jesus.
I don't know what you boys are seeing in it, honestly. I don't know if any of you really looked at their schedule because early bye, they got a week 5 bye, but they got Bucks, Vikings, Panthers, Commanders, then the bye. Then out of the bye, they've got the Bills, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Colts. Yes, it goes to mid-season, but early season, Bucks, Vikings, Commanders, Bills, 49ers aren't going to be easy. Not for this team.
Yeah, I think that's why I personally have them not winning the division, but like saying there's a chance that they can potentially be somewhat competitive. Well, my prediction is I think Raheem Morris is probably fired towards the end of the year because they should be doing a bit better. And I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in like an offensive guy that can help out Penix, and then I think the defense takes a little bit of a step. They drafted very well with Walker. I'm very high on Jalen Walker that they drafted, and also the DM that they drafted in the first round and moved up to, I can't remember his name. But yeah, I think the season after they bring in someone, potentially could be in a spot where they're winning the division.
Can I give you a super early bet? Of course, we're going to do a best bets episode in a couple of weeks' time on all our futures bets and some bets to watch out for. I'll give you a super, super early bet for the Atlanta Falcons. They will beat the Rams in December, 30th of December. Week 17.
Specifically the Rams.
Why specifically the Rams?
On this thing?
Why
How do I click
specifically?
leave?
Why specifically? Isaac knows why. Because they've got the Falcons pick.
Yeah.
So by that point, the Rams are going to want to make sure they lose as many as possible and get as high off the board. They're going to be wanted to win. Just Keep them down there. So, you know.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So the Rams, that you're saying the Rams would rather sacrifice a spot, like potentially winning the
I just
division,
think that
or
they'll win. You watch them. Yeah. And if it
Alright.
comes down to that point, yeah, I don't know. It would depend on what's happening at the end of the season. If they really are neck and neck with Tampa Bay like they were last season, I think the Rams will go out and destroy them to make sure that they can't get into the
Yes.
playoffs.
100%.
But if they are, like, let's say they're running, like, third in division, because we all know the Saints are going to be running fourth, and they're running third, and they've only got a few wins, I wouldn't be surprised if one of their wins for the season comes against the Rams, because it'll be second and third stringers the whole game. Anyway, that's a
Not a
super early bet.
chance.
Righto,
I love it.
under over wins for the Falcons for the season is at 7.5 wins. Isaac, Falcons.
Under by a lot.
under just.
I've got 'em
and
up-
I'm going
I've-
over by a lot.
Okay. Well, I've got them under just. I've got them at 7 and 10. So
I had the same, the exact same.
they were 8 and 9 last year, and I just don't see them doing much better than that point, that tippy toppy point. We went over 6 minutes on the Falcons. I'm disappointed in us today. We absolutely killed last week, boys.
Let's step it up.
It's such an interesting
it's the
two
shittest
divisions to
division.
talk about, Ian. That's why.
I know, it genuinely
Very
is. That's the problem is that there is actual talking points on these two very shit divisions. But here we are. Anyway, left the absolute best till last, and that is, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Death, taxes, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the NFC South. Well, it sure felt that way in 2024 as the Bucs stormed home to win their 4th division crown in a row. They also have the longest NFC active streak with 5 straight playoff appearances. They're poised to be the division favourites with the bookies for 2025, with most of last year's starters retained. Key veteran free agents like Chris Godwin and Levante David sign new contracts, and the entire starting offense returns for a unit that ranked in the top 5 in both rushing and passing stats last season. Some people see losing offensive coordinator Liam Cohen as a negative, but the Bucs kept the majority of their staff and promoted Josh Grizzard to the play calling job. Head coach Todd Bowles has won the division every year since taking over from Bruce Arians. Remember that guy, Brad?
Of course I do.
And he's in a position to do it again. But on top of all that, if there's one thing that is more certain than the Bucs hitting the playoffs for a 6th year in a row, it's that the Devil and Mike Evans will be meeting at a crossroads for a 12th straight season, and we'll see him go with that 1,000-yard receiving mark once again. Isaac, you don't love the Bucs anywhere near as much as I do, so I am super keen to hear about the Bucs from Isaac.
I like the Bucks. I do. I like their wide receivers, and I like Baker. He can just sling it all over the field to those wide receivers, and they can go up and get it. They have the depth at the wide receiver, and if Evans goes down, then they won't lose that much production with drafting Ibuka, who's been again killing it at training camp, and you got Jalen McMillan there as well. I like their running backs. My only concern is probably tight end, and if Baker gets injured, their depth chart behind him, second stringer Kyle Trask, I'm not too sure that he'll be able to do what Baker can on the field there. Yeah, I'm really keen to get Nick's thoughts on the Bucks as well.
Yeah, I think they've arguably, or probably, in my opinion, got the best sort of receiving trio in the league between Evans, Godwin, Agbuka as well. Running back core is still good. Unpopular opinion, and I say this as an Aussie, so I tread carefully with saying this. I think Tristan Wirfs is the best pass blocking tackle in the league, and I'm saying
he
that
is.
over Jordan Mailata. But he can play both sides. Like, he came in as a right tackle, was a Pro Bowler and an All Pro. Now was at left tackle, Pro Bowler and an All Pro. So his pass blocking is sensational. I think Mailata, just on the side though, is a much better run blocker, which I think makes him a better tackle overall. But that's not the here nor there. The offensive line is still good. Like I think defensively they've bulked up a bit up front. I really want to see that guy that got drafted, I think out of Florida, play up against Vita, play right next to Vita Vea. I think that's going to be insane. And I don't know if they've got the Eagles in their schedule, but I really want to see how that goes against the Tush Push, or even against like a team with like a bigger quarterback like a Josh Allen or something like that, like the Bills. The only thing is, I don't know what they look like on the back end defensively. It's a division where who are the best receivers that you're coming up against. If the Falcons get their passing game together, then maybe. You've got the Panthers, so if their receivers get it together, then maybe. But I think, like Ian said, it is a breeze for me with this team in the division. They could wake up. They're easily above a 500 win team based on the teams that they come up against. Baker Mayfield's playing well. I do think there is a very small chance that maybe Liam Cohen gone now. Is there something there that maybe hurts him a little bit? But if it was a tough division, I'd say yes. In this division, I'd probably say probably not. So yeah, I've still got them still dominating this spot.
You say you're worried about the backup quarterback position, but they've got Teddy Bridgewater.
They got Teddy Two Gloves. I was going to say that.
Come on, I mean, most guys who get suspended from coaching in high school have to explain it to the parent-teacher association. This guy just goes and
Teddy just goes, "Screw you all! I'm going back to the NFL."
Exactly. How many people can do that? Go, I don't need this. I'm going to go play in the NFL.
Right. He's going to end up. He'll be up on the depth chart at QB2, so he'll back up Baker.
Yeah, he will.
When was the last time he played in the NFL?
Doesn't matter, mate. He's Teddy Two Gloves.
It's exactly.
It's what happens. It's what happens when the Vikings draft a quarterback, mate. They go somewhere else and they're amazing.
That's right. That's exactly right. So no, I like Tampa. It just seems to me like they're just always overachieving, and I think the big thing is they've got another offensive coordinator. So that's going to be the key is can Baker take another offensive coordinator and make him look good. So I'm with Ian. I love Baker. He's the real deal.
Well, he did do it for Sean McVay in like 3 days, so pretty sure he's okay with coming in with offensive coordinators and dealing with their shit.
Truth.
So, under over for the NFC South division winning Tampa Bay Buccaneers is at 9.5 wins. I mean, I won't beat around the bush too much. I've got them at 12. So
12
and 4, baby. Let's go, Bucks.
Jeez. It wouldn't surprise me if they go over, but I still don't have them win the division.
I've got them going under. I've only got the Panthers going over in this division.
Nick?
Over. I've still got them going over. I've got them as the 4 seed though, so winning. I had them about 10 and 7.
It's wild that my dumb picks aren't the silliest thing we've done tonight. All right, division predictions. I've got the Bucks at 1, the Panthers at 2, the Falcons at 3, and the Saints at 4. Isaac, your insanity, please.
Carolina 1, Tampa Bay 2, Falcons 3, Saints 4.
Brad?
I have Atlanta 1, Bucks 2, Panthers 3, and the Saints 4.
And Nick?
Saints at 1. No, sorry. Bucks at 1, Falcons 2, Panthers 3, Saints 4.
This is the first division we've done out of 4 so far where all of us are different. Everyone is different. So this is going to be a very interesting division prediction for this one. So, all right, boys. NFC South, done and dusted. It's cooked like a chook. We're all done.
It's cooked.
And we are, it definitely is. We're ready to go. And so
jeez,
let's
unlimited.
East week looms.
East week does loom.
It looms. It looms, Brad.
Stir it up. Stir it up.
I generally can't remember which division we're going to next week, to be honest. I have to look at the schedule because I can't remember. But we have already done the North and we've done the South, so we've done the top and bottom points on the compass.
Yeah, we're doing the West.
Yeah, righto. So next week we are off to the wild, wild West for another round of division predictions. And it should be a great one. And of course, in the West, that means we talk endlessly about the Rams and the 49ers, both of which will only be getting a 3-minute timer.
Yes.
I saved the timeouts from this week for next week.
Oh, jeez.
No, you used your timeouts on the Carolina Panthers, buddy, and half of your time on the Rams. So, so we'll be doing West next week. So make sure you tune in to everything next week. Make sure you tune in to everything AGN. Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network is where you'll find all the links to absolutely everything, all the podcasts, the lot. The other thing which I failed to mention both earlier today and last week is the tipping competition. If you go to the Linktree, right at the very, very top of that page is a link to the AGN tipping competition, which we here at Gday Gridiron are running this season. You will find a link to that ESPN tipping comp. Jump on in there. Great prizes to win. First prize is a real, brand new NFL jersey of your choice. Second prize is a NFL shirt from the NFL shop or from one of the team shirts. So you get to pick that as well. Third prize is a shirt from our merch store, the link for which you will also find on that link tree. So go and join the tipping comp. Get on in. It's absolutely free to enter. You can go up against all of us at AGN and just test your might. Test your might. I've just gone full Mortal Kombat. And see how you go and try and win yourself an NFL jersey. Until next week, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you for the Wild Wild West.